Hey everyone, it's Julie Young for Korean American Story and Not Your Average. Today I am sitting down with HeeSun Lee.
Yes.
Nice to have you.
Thank you for having me.
See, I've been doing music all this time and still they wanna question it. See a female hold a mic, these people keep on testing it. Set us up for failure, now we're dressed in it. It's a man's world looking like we're just guessing it. They say we're just complaining, claiming we ain't got.
HeeSun, I'm so excited to finally sit down with you. This has been
waiting.
a long time coming.
Right,
I know we
right.
have some mutual friends, but it's
Yes.
actually our first time meeting, so
Yeah, I
I'm happy
know.
to have you here.
Yeah,
And I told you earlier, this is a big honor because you are my first adoptee guest.
I actually am very shocked. The amount of people that you get to talk to, so I'm very honored. 1983, I was born in Seoul, Korea, and obviously don't remember anything about being there. And then I was in foster care for about 4 months. I read on paperwork that my parents just kind of gave me up right after I was born, so I don't have any recollection of them at all. Don't even remember my foster mother. And then I came to Staten Island, New York 4 months later.
But you were adopted by a Chinese American family.
Yes. So they were born here, and I was born in Korea. So it's actually, it's usually the other way around. So they speak perfect English. My dad can't even speak any Chinese. It's actually very funny when they hear them, that you would never think that they're Asian. My foster mother, she named me in the foster home. She named me HeeSun.
Yeah.
So Kill is my real, that's what they say, at least on my paperwork. That's my real last name. And then my foster mother gave me HeeSun. And then when I came to the States and I got adopted, it changed to Cynthia Lee. Once I started getting into music and I used HeeSun as my artist name, I feel like I kind of connect to that a little bit more just because it's everything that I feel I am. And HeeSun is my Korean name, but Lee is my Chinese. So, not to confuse people more, Lee can be Chinese or Korean.
Right.
But my Lee is actually Chinese because I identify that with my Chinese side, and HeeSun is the Korean side. So I kind of put them together and let people know that this is who I am as a whole. I think as HeeSun, I like using that because it's what brings me back to Korea, brings me back to who I am as a Korean. And I never really had that growing up, so I kind of made myself have it by re-bringing it back into my life and using HeeSun. So.
Yeah. So I found this quote,
Yeah.
and you said, "My biggest struggle growing up was with my identity, and it all correlated with being stereotyped and not knowing where I belonged because I was adopted."
Right.
Can you talk more on that?
So when I got into high school, this is when like an influx of Korean people entered. I'm like, where were these Korean people hiding? Because growing up, I never saw them. But in high school, there were so many.
Interesting.
And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm Korean and they're Korean. But I felt so different because I never had that connection. I never really met any Koreans. So that was like the beginning of my journey or of not knowing who I was. And that's where I felt like I was stereotyped even by Korean people, because once they found out that I wasn't Korean like them, and that I was adopted and I couldn't speak the language, I didn't even know what kimchi was at the time. I didn't know anything. So they would talk about me in Korean, they would say stuff, and it really made me question my identity and who I was, and I started going downhill. And my mom noticed it. She's like, "What? Are you all right, Cindy? Like, what's going on?" And that's when I just started getting into music and just writing things and what I was going through.
But so also, I want to know, when did you consciously think like, I'm going to be a Christian rapper?
Yeah.
Or is that just what other people have labeled you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I when I started rapping, I wanted to rap about my own experiences, what I go through. I couldn't picture myself rapping half naked and talking about, sexing up a guy. And, I mean, I partied and stuff, but that just wasn't me. That's not my character. So I just wrote about things that I was going through. And at that time, I was in and out of church, but I always believed in God, and I felt like He was always helping me in some way. I was just struggling. So my songs would be sometimes yelling at God, like, "God, where are you? Like, why am I alone?" But I always had Him in there. And I said to myself, if I'm going to be an artist, I have to be real. And that's always just what came out. It wasn't something that I would write about just so I could make money or become famous. It was just, I just wanted to be me, and I just wanted people to be attracted to that. So that's kind of how it just happened.
So do you mind the label, or do you like the label?
I mean, I don't mind it, but I feel like it limits me. Like, I want to just be known as an artist or even a rapper, but people who aren't Christian are gonna say, "Hey, she's that Christian rapper," because it's weird. It's different for them. But and I understand, I get it. I'm not gonna stop somebody, but I also feel like, yeah, you know, if you hear Christian, they're like, oh, okay,
Right.
wait, should we have our own?
Right,
Is she
right,
too religious? You
right.
know, but yeah, if people can just say rapper, that's great. It's not me being ashamed of my religion or what I believe in. It's just me having more opportunities to do certain things
Right.
without having that label. So
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I know you were on Show Me the Money in
Yes.
Korea. It was your first time back to Korea.
yeah,
right?
that was unexpected. Yeah, it was a great. It was great. You know, it happened all within a month.
Wow.
And I went like years of thinking, am I ever gonna go back to Korea and try and find my parents? Like, and then within 1 month, I was there. It's like it went from, I just didn't have time to absorb it all,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, I'm doing all this for the sake of my career, and I'm thinking like, okay, Cindy, but your personal life, are you ready? You
Yeah.
know? And I still didn't get to absorb it all, you know, because I was really just there for the show. I didn't stay and try and find my parents or just embrace the culture. I just did the show and then I left. I definitely want to go back and just go for personal and
Right.
not anything with music.
Right, right. Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you for having
Do
me.
a cheers with your
Yes.
tea.
Yes, and my nice lip off and cold. Thank
And
you.
best of luck with everything else.
Thank you. Thank you.
To live like this. No, you don't. No, you don't. When everything is screaming, get me out of this. Do you know what it's like to live like this? Well, if you do, then I